I in team, but maybe we should start spelling it TEIM or something. Because the fact is, your team will suffer if you aren't experiencing ongoing growth and personal development. So because your work is so important, and because you're important, take care of your soul and stay close to God, not just because you're getting paid for it, but because that's what life's about. And that's who you are, a close to God person. Take care of your emotions and stay in touch with yourself and with some friends who know how to practice peer mentoring and mutual encouragement. Of course, take care of your body and get enough sleep, rest, and exercise. And please take care of your mind. What you're doing demands the hard work of real thought and continual learning, not just a rat race of wild and crazy activities. Listening to this book can be a wise step in taking care of your mind, and that will be good for you and your team and the young people whose lives you touch. In fact, even the as-yet unborn and unimagined grandchildren of your young people may benefit in some way from the thinking and learning you'll engage in while listening to this book. As you continue to listen, I think you'll join me in thanking Chris for this clear, practical, sincere, honest, solid, and bold book. Brian McLaren. Preface. Before you leap into this book, you should know several things. First, even though this book is all about changing the way we do youth ministry, please know that I have deep admiration and respect for those who have come before me in this field. If it were not for people like Mike Yaconelli, Pamela Irwin, Doug Fields, and others who paved the way for those of us who do ministry with students, I don't know where I'd be. Throughout this book, I've tried not to disparage the last several decades of youth ministry. Without apology, however, I've tried to rethink many of the customs, beliefs, and precedents of modern youth ministry. I'm not suggesting we need to change our style of ministry merely because it is old, but because of the rapid pace of cultural change around us. I believe what we've been doing for the last several decades is no longer effective, and will grow less and less effective in the coming days. Second, you should know that I am not an academic. You won't find tons of exacting data and verified clinical studies to measure the effectiveness of the approach to ministry in this book. I like to think in new ways and to be pushed by the creative ideas of others, but I do not consider myself a scholar. Calling me an academic or a scholar is like calling me a golfer. I like to play golf, but I'm not a golfer. A golfer goes out and hits fairways and greens, makes putts, and walks into the clubhouse for a frosty or two with the score somewhere near par. On the other hand, I'm a hacker on the golf course who might score below 90 on a good day. So while I like to play golf, and can even play with the golfers, I am not one of them. In the same light, I am not a scholar. I consider scholars in the youth ministry world to be people like Tony Jones of Emergent, Kenda Dean of Princeton Theological Seminary, Mike King of Youth Front, David White of Austin Seminary, Dave Livermore and Steve Arg of Intersect Community, and Pamela Irwin of Bethel University. I can sit with these folks over coffee and talk about ideas that might shape the future of youth ministry. But at the end of the day, I am a practitioner, one who takes the highly specialized and theoretical ideas of others and experiments with them expectantly, waiting and watching for beneficial and transferable outcomes. This book is the product of who I am as a practitioner. It's filled with ideas and practices that I've sweated through, cried through, laughed through, lost my temper through, learned through, been surprised by, and been shaped by. I'm glad to say that my own ministry has recognized many positive outcomes from the ideas in this book, but I don't have an easy step-by-step plan for success. I've included questions for discussion and reflection at the end of each chapter. I hope these questions will help you and your ministry team consider more carefully how the insights in this book apply to your own ministry context. Finally, you should know that a new kind of youth ministry is not as much